In this lecture, I am going to throw light on the concept of functions. Functions are very important for any programming language. Basically, a function is a subprogram which performs a logically isolated task. What I mean to say is, a function would be a kind of a small program within the main program, right? And whatever logic we would apply into this function, that will be different from the logics applied in other functions of the same program. So this is called being logically isolated task. So this task will be logically isolated, whatever will be applied in a particular function. The whole program is broken down into various functions, thus making the readability and maintainability of the program highly improved. If we were to write the whole programming statements, all the programming statements in one single function main, that would become very difficult for the programmer to write and for the other programmers to study that program. So the maintainability and the readability of the program will suffer. So the best approach is to break down the whole program into various functions, that is sub-programs. We can draw an analogy with an article or write-up that has been written by some writer being divided into various paragraphs so that the user will find it convenient to read and understand. Just imagine an article or a write-up written by an author which has not been divided into paragraphs. So you would find it very difficult to comprehend the things, even though the matter could be very useful and very full of knowledge. So it's very important to break down your program into functions. Now, when we call a function, the control is transferred to its body, where all the statements of this function are executed, and then control returns back. The body of a function comprises one or more programming statements. Most of the times, of course, there are multiple programming statements in the body of a function. The alternative name or the term for function body is function definition. You don't worry, after explaining all these concepts, I am going to come up with a lot of examples of functions whereby you will find it very easy to understand the whole things about that revolve around functions, and you would be able to create your own functions. But before that, I must tell you that basically functions are categorized into two categories. The first category is library functions, which are inbuilt functions. These are the functions which come along with your compiler or along with your language that you are working in. For example, if you have installed C language, so all the functions which are being already provided to you, those are called library functions. And as you are right now, till now you have become comfortable with the concept of header files. You know, in header files we people have got library functions, and so far we have used many library functions: printf, scanf, sqrt, pow. If you remember, sqrt is used to calculate the square root, and pow for calculating the power of like a raised to power b. I have used these functions in one of my previous programs, and then we had covered in detail the string.h header file, which contained these string related library functions: strlen, strcpy, strcat, toupper, tolover, and strlwr, strupr. There were so many other functions also. But see, right now we people will be interested in learning about how to create our own functions. Using library functions is okay, they are inbuilt functions, The only thing we are supposed to learn is how to use them, how to pass the number of arguments which are required. But in user-defined functions, these are the functions written by the programmer as per the requirement of the user. And while writing the user-defined functions, the programmer has to deal with many things like function prototypes, function body, function calling, passing parameters, returning a value, etc., which I will delve into detail later on. But first, let me tell you, I'm going to explain diagrammatically this whole concept around functions. Suppose this is a one single program written in C language. This one is a single program, whole program, and it consists of many functions. And the name of the functions, they could be anything, but I have assumed them to be fn1, fn2, fn3, fn4. And as you remember, the presence of this function with the name main is mandatory in any C program. So here I am showing you all these functions are there, and any function can call the other function. The benefit is going to be the reusability of code. As I have told you, each function is supposed to do something logically isolated. So if I want to do something through the function fn3, and right now I am working in fn2, I would call fn3 from fn2, right? And suppose I am working in the function main and I want to do something logic of which has been explained in fn1, then I would be calling fn1 like this. So here I should have used small f anyways, because the name of the function is fn1 with small f, or I could have written here capital F. Anyways, now see, here what I have shown is in the function main, I'm calling the function fn1. So here main is calling the function fn1, and from fn1 I'm calling the function fn4. In such situation, the function which calls the other function is called the calling function, and the function which has been called is called the called function. So here fn1 is calling the function fn4. So this is just a representative diagram. Whenever you write your program, whatever is your requirement or the need, accordingly any function can call the other function.